It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations, we cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
We're starting things off today with one of my favorite segments.
It's record fish time.
Have you ever thought to yourself, what could possibly be better than catching a record fish? How about breaking a record that your dad held? That's exactly what happened in Franklin County, Missouri this month when 13-year-old R.J. Audrain IV caught a new record long-ear sunfish while hand lining for them at a private pond. Now, it wasn't a huge fish. This sunfish only weighed 5 ounces, but it was an ounce bigger than his dad's previous record sunfish. Asked what he's going to do with it, RJ says he'll mount the tiny trophy and put it right next to his dad's previous record on the wall of their home in St. Louis. Our thanks to the Missouri Department of Conservation for sharing this fun little story.
Congratulations on your new record.
This week on America Outdoors Radio, we've got a couple more interviews we recorded at the Bassmaster Classic in Fort Worth, Texas last month. In just a minute, we'll talk to Scott Estes, the founder of Denali Rods out of Mountain Home, Arkansas, about their line of fine and affordable fishing rods that work great for bass and more. After that, we'll talk to a man who made a career change at the age of 37 that has paid off in a big way. That man is Pat Schlapper. He's an angler from Wisconsin who just over a year ago was working at Scheel's, a sporting goods store chain with a strong presence in the upper Midwest. Pat had been fishing local tournaments, but made the decision to walk away from his life in retail and become a professional bass fisherman. And you know what? His bosses at Scheel's were very supportive, actually became his title sponsor, and a year later, Pat has found himself in the Bassmaster Classic as one of the top 54 bass anglers in the world. You're going to love hearing more about this from Pat, and it just might inspire you to make a life change too. Speaking of great stories, another one came out of the Bass Nation Kayak Championship last month at Possum Kingdom Lake in Texas. One of the anglers competing there was Jason Borofka from Lavon, Texas, and Borofka's 2-year-old son, JT, suffers from a very rare and serious medical disorder. Hearing about this, second-place winner Joe McElroy from Alabama announced on the awards stage that he was donating his entire $5,000 winning check to SaveJT.com, the website set up by JT's parents to help their son. And you know what? The blessings and generosity pouring in towards JT got even better after that. Dave Walley, the founder of Tourney X, the presenting sponsor for this kayak championship, will tell you more about JT and efforts to help him out, to include an online tournament going on now. Last but not least, Dan Clayton with Henry Repeating Arms will join us to tell you about the new Frontier model 22 caliber lever action rifle they have that is manufactured with a threaded barrel so you can put a suppressor on it and really tone down the decibel level when you're shooting. We'll also ask Dan what model of the 200-some models that Henry Repeating Arms makes in America is their very best seller and why. Before we have a discussion about rifles, though, let's talk fishing rods. Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we continue to broadcast from the Bassmaster Classic. We're at the Outdoors Expo, all sorts of vendors here, and I ran across a rod company that is kind of standing out to me for several reasons. Number one, being from the West Coast, I'm not familiar with them. Number two, they got some really nice-looking rods, especially if you're into bass fishing. Number three, the price point, well, you can afford these rods, unlike some of the other ones you might see out there. With us here to tell you more about Denali Rods is the founder, the CEO, the president, and the man that takes out the trash at the end of the day, Scott Estes. Scott, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, and I think the guy that takes out the trash at the end of the day is the most appropriate introduction here. But yes, thank you for the time.
So Denali Rods, located in Mountain Home, Arkansas. Tell our listeners a little bit more about your rod company.
Yeah, absolutely. We were founded in 2008. I don't know if many of you know about Mountain Home, Arkansas. Mountain Home, Arkansas is located in north central Arkansas, and our roots really are deep in bass fishing. Some of the major players in fiberglass bass boats right there are in Mountain Home, Bass Cat boats, Ranger boats, and Vexus boats, and others. So just a really deep history there. For a very small town, it's only about 13,000 people, but for whatever reason, we've just been a magnet for bass fishing and manufacturing and boat manufacturing, the whole 9 yards. But we started in 2008 with just a humble 8-rod series and did our first iCast in 2008 and just kind of slowly grew year to year. And here we are, 2021. We have over 100 SKUs of rods. We started with bass rods. And of course, we still have a bunch of bass rods. That's kind of what we hang our hat on. We got 6 series of bass rods, but we moved in the markets of, walleye, crappie fishing, cat fishing, done a little bit of inshore fishing, and really have had pretty good success in all those markets.
The reason I haven't heard you out on the West Coast is you really don't have much of a presence there, but you do have a really strong presence in the Midwest, in the Southeast, in the South. I understand you're in about 300 independent retailers.
That's right. First couple years, we were just trying to get our brand launched, get the name established, and obviously close to home is kind of where we started at and kind of branched out from there. And over time, one dealer at a time, one handshake at a time, we've slowly grown this thing to the numbers you mentioned. We do have 300 independent retailers across the country, and we do have certain pockets where we're more popular. But, it's pretty well a nationwide thing, and we've been very fortunate.
Let's talk about the price point of your rods in terms of the range from your lowest to your highest.
Yeah, focusing on bass fishing to start, we have what we call our Riker series. Those start at $69, and that's a really good seller for us. And then we've got, like I said, 6 series of rods. They start at $69 at the Riker series, and they go all the way up to a $400 series of rod. Obviously, that's more of a novelty rod. We don't sell too many of those, but in between, we've got $100 price points, we've got $160 price points, $200 price points, $250 price points. So really have something for everybody.
I like that. So depending on what your level of expertise is or, how much you're willing to spend for a quality rod, you can find it here. But let's talk about the Riker series. Is a cheaper $70 rod, is it exclusive, mutually exclusive from being a good rod?
Well, the 69, we tried to put a lot of rod in that price range because that is a great volume mover for it. Is it the same quality of our $200 rods? No, it's not. Is it adequate? Sure. We have guys on the on the Major League Tour that are using some of these Riker series rods, and so what you get with each rod series, starting with the Riker series, going up all the way to our N3 series, which is our high-end series. Every step up, every rod gets a little bit lighter, a little bit more sensitive. The components get a little bit better. Sensitivity gets a little bit better. Weight comes down a little bit. So there are incremental differences within each series. But, yeah, you absolutely get more rod between the different price points. But to answer your question, you can spend, $60 and get a quality rod that'll do absolutely anything you need it to.
I was down at your booth, and I was talking to one of your representatives down there. Just a random person came by, and he actually said, I love your rods. I love your customer service. Your customer service is second to none. I'm actually changing all of my rods over to Denali rods. And, that wasn't a paid endorsement. This is just a guy that was a big believer in your rods, and I'm guessing he's not the only one.
Well, maybe we should get him on the radio station. No, but, that's what we do. There's nothing magical about our rods. We just try and run business the right way. We try and create a product that is high quality. We stand behind our product, and it's something that we enjoy doing too. We're all fishermen. We love to fish. But, the key to anything, in any industry is going to be customer service, and that's what I can promise you with Denali Rods. We will do our absolute best to make it a positive experience. If you have an issue with your rod or if you have a question, you're going to call up, you're going to talk to a person, and we're going to do our absolute best to make it a positive experience.
Last but not least, speaking of standing behind your rods, you have a warranty on your rods.
We do. We have a limited lifetime warranty on all the rods, most all the rods. We've not talked about the crappie rods or the catfish rods. Some of those carry a different warranty. But on all the bass rods and the walleye rods, they all do have a limited lifetime warranty. So you have an insurance policy on your rod from the date of purchase on. So if you're buying our product, we're going to stand behind it for the lifetime of that rod.
Denali Rods, folks, check them out in an independent retailer near you. And if they want to order online, what's the website to do so?
Our website is denalirods.com, and you can get all the information there and see everything we're doing, and it's changing day to day. So we'd love you to come check out our site.
Denali, just like that big mountain in Alaska, denalirods.com. Check it out, or like I said, visit one of the 300 independent retailers that carry these rods. Try them out. If you're like the one customer that I just heard from, you're going to absolutely love them. Scott, thanks so much for sharing this with us today, and congratulations on doing a great job with your rod company.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you visiting with us.
Ready to step up to a quality-built rifle or shotgun that's a true classic? Check out Henry Repeating Arms, American-made. There's over 150 models to choose from in a variety of finishes and calibers for hunters and target shooters. Many of these are lever-action models with a classic look right out of the Old West. Don't be deceived, though. Henry Repeating Arms are modern, rugged, reliable, and have a lifetime guarantee. Find out more and order a free catalog today at henryusa.com. That's henryusa.com.
Hunting and fishing are exercises in hope. Before you head into the woods, you hope to tag out on a deer you'll have to field dress. Before you make that first cast, you hope for a big fish to clean and fillet. When your hopes are realized, you'll need a sharp knife. Whether you sharpen that blade on a power sharpener in the shop or a manual sharpener in the field, Work Sharp has the tool for you. Look for Work Sharp products in sporting goods stores near you or online at worksharptools.com.
Campers, adventure seekers, hunters, and foodies. No matter the lifestyle, we can all agree on one thing. Great food and great people are worth remembering. At Camp Chef, we don't just make grills. We create each product knowing that a warm meal is always better when it's shared with those we love. Learn more about Camp Chef grills, smokers, and portable cooking equipment at campchef.com. That's campchef.com for a better way to cook outdoors.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands. We've helped ban the use of drones for hunting. We help repair wildlife corridors in key riparian areas. We speak up against illegal ATV use. We collaborate with elected leaders to keep public lands in public hands. We're Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, with membership in all 50 states and Canada. Please join this dynamic conservation group. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
You're back in with America Outdoors Radio, and I've got a real heartwarming story to share with you that took place at the Bassmaster Bass Nation Kayak Series Championship last month in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, this was presented by Tourney X, and we've got the owner of Tourney X on the line, Dwayne Walley, to tell us exactly what happened on the award stage. Dwayne, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, John. I appreciate it.
We probably better start off by talking about who this story is about. And it's about a young boy named JT. Why don't you tell our listeners who JT is, who his parents are, and the medical condition JT is trying to deal with?
Sure, we'll do that, John. JT, his name is JT Barofka. His parents are Jason and Tara. And, yeah, he's struggling with a disease now. He was diagnosed with, and I cannot pronounce it, but it's called TPI. It's a generic multi-system disorder. And, you know, some of the things I've read about it, it causes anemia. They actually, he's anemic. And, this thing is so rare, from what I'm understanding. It's called TPI deficiency. It's so rare that only 1 in 5 people in the world have it.
Oh, my God.
And, from what I understand, I was just reading a little bit about it and listening to a video that Jason sent me. Since back in the 60s, only 70 people have had this since the 60s.
So this is really rare. And Jason, JT's dad, actually was competing at this Bass Nation Kayak Series Championship. Actually took 7th place. What happened when Jason went up on the stage?
Well, it kind of astonished all of us. Normally when you go up on stage, you're kind of oohing and ahhing because you won a check, right? And
right.
You won 7th place or whatever that place may be. However, Jason kind of turned the whole thing around, and he spoke about his son JT. He just brought up the fact that he's struggling with his son, with this whole disease thing and that's going on. He talked about JT in depth. He wanted the listeners to know about the donations that's going on, the SaveJT.com website, and he wanted them to know about his disorder. And he wants people to bring awareness to what they're going through and ask for help if it's available. And actually, I went over to him while he was talking about his son, put my hand on his back, And it was, I mean, I got goosebumps right now. I'm still thinking about that time when he was talking about it, and it really brought me down to a whole different level. You know, and thoughts that, you know, my son's 25 right now, or 24, he'll be 25 in November. And to think that what that family's going through and the things that they need and the support that they need, and we just need to be there as much as we can for these people and others, you know. So it's what we should be doing as a human being.
I agree. And so you were clearly touched by this, but you weren't the only one that was touched. Up comes Joe McElroy. He's going to take the stage. He's being presented with a $5,000 winning check for getting second place. And why don't you tell our listeners what he did with that check?
You know, Joe came up after Jason got seventh, sixth, fifth, fourth, and got down to the second place winner. Of course, they announced the first place winner, and then Joe came up after our first place winner received his award and everything. Joe came up to receive his second place winnings, which was $5,000. He turned right around and he donated $5,000 directly to the Borofka family, and donated directly to JT's fund. And it just blew the house up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people were just, and even myself were like, holy cow, and what Joe said, he said, it's not mine. He said, this money is not for me. He said, it's for the glory of God. And he said, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring that to the forefront, that, we should be out here helping each other. And to think that Joe fished for those 2 days straight, plus his pre-fishing and everything he did, and turned right around and donated $5,000. It was just unreal.
Absolutely amazing moment. Now, since this championship happened last month in Texas, the Borofkas have found Texas to be a very, very welcoming and caring state. He makes this announcement on stage. I understand another $8,000 to $9,000 has been donated through their website, savejt.com, since then. Is that true?
If not more, I believe so. Yes, sir, it is. Now, one of the things, I'm not able to keep up with what's going on through their donation through their website, but now we have something going on the side. But as far as the money goes, yes, sir, I believe you are correct.
That is fantastic. And to all you Texas listeners out there, if you contributed, God bless you for doing so. All right, let's talk about what Tourney X is doing. By the way, folks, you really should check out TourneyX.com. If you are into tournament fishing or maybe want to start a tournament, there's a lot of good stuff you're going to find there under this tournament management fishing system that Tourney X is all about. And you have launched a new fishing tournament just for JT. Tell our listeners about this.
Yes, sir. I was contacted shortly after the championship by a fellow friend of mine, Ryan Lambert, and he also wanted to help out as much as possible. They contacted me. We do a lot of charity events for folks around the country, whether it's they're just in need for a house caught on fire or they needed money. But we do that pro bono. We just dive in and go because that's what we do, as a community. We should be doing. So anyway, Ryan called me. He says, hey, man, let's put this tournament together for JT. Let's blow this thing up and make it huge. So we put the tournament together. It's a month-long event from July 1st to July 31st, but it's $50 to enter. You don't even have to fish. You join Tourney X. You go in and join the tournament, pay your $50. It goes directly to the Borofka family. Now, this is the cool part. There's been 985 people have joined this tournament. We have so far put together over $49,000 in their pockets to be able to send to the research development to try to, find a cure for this disease. It's unbelievable.
This is unbelievable. But I got to ask, so if people do want to fish in this tournament, it's an online tournament, how do they participate?
Well, they'll participate through Tourney X, of course. You sign up, $50. It's a catch photo release, bass only, kayak only. The other thing we're doing, just so you know, is we're doing raffles. We're not just doing just this cash thing. We're also doing raffles. We've got concert raffle tickets. We've got backstage passes. We've got all kinds of things. We've got product. We've got things being given away. We've got signed autograph guitars from nationally known artists. Ryan Lambert is putting this thing on that side. We're helping him on the other side as far as judging fish and taking care of that. We've got 10 volunteers for judging fish. And this thing's coming along. I think there's over 3,000 fish submitted so far since July 1st. And, it's going to be a big deal. So at the end of the month, there's going to be giveaways. And if you are one of the 1,000 people that are signed up, you are in the pot for the giveaways as well.
Okay. Well, folks, you know what to do then. Whether you want to fish this tournament or not, joining it And donating $50 to help out JT is a great thing to do. Just go to tourneyx.com. That's Tourney spelled Tourney X.com. Look for the Save JT Benefit Tournament and just enter to win with your $50 contribution. You're going to be doing a good thing. The other website to tell you about, too, is SaveJT.com. That's SaveJT.com. Let's help out JT Borowska and his family as they go through this trying time. And, Dwayne, as for you, thank you for what you're doing. It is appreciated by all of us here at America Outdoors Radio.
Yes, sir. You're absolutely welcome.
This portion of the show was brought to you by our friends at WorkSharp. They're the fine folks out of Ashland, Oregon, who make knife and tool sharpeners that you can use, whether you're hunting or fishing or camping or maybe in your shop, maybe in your kitchen, for all of the knives and tools you need sharpened every day when you work and play. WorkSharp tools can be found online at worksharptools.com, or you can find them in sporting goods stores and hardware stores all over our great nation. Just look for WorkSharp products to sharpen your knives and your tools, because nothing is worse than trying to get the job done right with a dull blade. Why book at Sportsman's Cove Lodge?
Why is Alaska like no other place on Earth? It hasn't changed in thousands of years.
From the way you get here on a float plane to the way you go out with the guides and the boats, it's just a professional experience.
And I said, this is as good as it gets. I said, if you can't catch fish here, you can't catch fish anywhere.
Your experience with us will leave you speechless.
Book now at alaskasbestlodge.com. Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we continue to broadcast from Fort Worth, Texas, Dickies Arena, where the weigh-ins for the Bassmaster Classic are going to be taking place. But today's the day before the Classic, and it's Media Day, where the anglers are making time for us. And I've run across a person who, in my opinion, proves that your bass angling dreams can come true. His name is Pat Schlapper. He hails from the state of Wisconsin, and he is fishing the Bassmaster Classic for the first time this year. Pat, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So, Pat, first things first, a couple things that stand out. Number one, you're from Wisconsin. And number two, your major sponsor is Scheel's. And when I think of those two things together, I don't think bass, I think walleye.
Yeah, the company started in North Dakota, Minnesota area, where it's mainly walleye. I was fortunate to start working there part-time in 2004 in the fishing shop, and the manager at the time, his name's Todd Anderson, who's now the president of the company. He knew that I loved bass fishing, and he kind of let me start ordering bass stuff for the store. And since then, I'm not saying that's the only reason why, but now Scheel's is very well known for bass stuff. Over the years, we've just really dove into that market and expanded on it, and walleye and muskie and panfish is still a huge part of our business, but bass has really grown in the Scheel's company as a whole, and it just kind of shows what type of company it is to embrace that and grow with it. And now we've got a store right here in Fort Worth, a big one, so it's really cool.
Let me tell you what else is really cool, folks, is the fact that until last year you were working at Scheel's. You've literally gone pro for like 1 year. You've been a pro for 1 year, and you're already in the Classic. How the heck did that happen?
Well, it's one of those things. I was 37 years old. I loved what I did for work. Been there since 2004, and I just have always wanted to do this, and it took me a long time to pull the plug and actually try it. So I left my full-time career at Scheel's to fish the Bassmaster Opens to try to qualify for the Elites. And I was fully committed, and I ended up qualifying through the Open Series and also through winning the Bass Nation Championship, which got me to the Classic and to the Elites. So in that 1 year, I qualified 2 ways for the Elites. And yeah, it goes to show you could do it. I mean, if you commit to it and get your mind right and you got some financial backing, you can do it. So, yeah, it's been awesome so far.
Pat, this is the best midlife crisis ever, I think is what a lot of us are thinking right now. I absolutely love this. And what a leap of faith to go from literally working retail at Scheel's to saying, I'm going on the tournament trail. You must have had some backing. I'm guessing it was from Scheel's. Is that where you got into the boat, where you got into some of the gear that you need to compete at this level?
You know, Scheel's as a company, it's employee-owned. Everybody says that you work in retail. Yes, I worked in retail, but Scheel's is not the normal retail store. I mean, they care for their employees better than any company. That's what keeps the good employees around. And when I decided to do it, they were all for it and came on as my title sponsor and have helped me a lot financially and with other things. That was a big part of it, but I'd been really successful at local tournaments and regional tournaments, and at my job, and I was 37 years old. I had been working and making good money for a long time, so I was financially pretty sound to take the gamble at it. So Scheel's has been huge, and then just my personal, I don't know what you'd call it,
Drive, ambition.
Yeah, drive and ambition and just diligence of being smart with my money and saving that up, so when I was able to take the chance at it, I didn't have to worry about paying my bills.
Again, I think it's wonderful your dream has come true so fast, but clearly listening to you, you've been planning this dream for quite some time, and kudos to you. Got to talk about the boat. It's a Skeeter. It's got a really nice Yamaha. Why did you pick Skeeter and Yamaha?
I've run Skeeter since 2004. I had one other boat since then, another brand, which was fine too. But Skeeter, great boat, layout's nice, and they have one of the best incentive programs out there, which for me, last year alone, just in extra incentives from Skeeter and Yamaha, I won about $30,000 extra.
And I guess for our listeners who aren't really familiar with how tournament fishing works, explain what these incentive programs are.
So basically, the unique thing with Skeeter is that, so back home where I'm from, a big tournament might be 50 boats, and you might win $3,000-$4,000, which is okay, but it's not a huge pot of money. But with Skeeter's program called Real Money, you can pay, it's like $90 a year to get into the program, and any tournament that is on the qualifying list that has 60 or more participants, so in a team tournament, basically 30 boats, if you win that tournament out of a qualifying Skeeter boat, you get an extra $5,000.
That makes a big difference.
Makes a big difference, and you can get it up to 3 times a year. So you win 3 of them, that's $15,000. So like back home, you could win every tournament up there and not win $15,000. So that was huge. And then Yamaha came out with what they called Power Pay program. So in that, I'm not sure on the criteria of what year and all that stuff, but you basically don't have to pay anything. You just sign up, and if it's a qualifying event, you'd win $1,000 extra. Like I won $1,000 in a couple of opens at a regional, and then at the Nation Championship, it was an extra $10,000 for having a Yamaha. And it's highest finisher, not the one who wins.
All right. I completely get it then. I see why you made the choice. Last question. Lake Ray Roberts, probably not a whole lot like the lakes you fish back home in Wisconsin. What's your strategy going to be?
It's not a lot like home, but I have a lot of experience fishing in Texas. I fished Falcon Lake for a lot of years, and I fished Amistad and Fork. So Ray Roberts is similar to some of those lakes. I don't know what's going to happen. The good thing is I know how I'm going to be fishing. I know what I'm going to be doing. I've been getting some bites. I'm not going to be running around a lot. If I can get 15 bites a day, put them in the boat, 5 of those might be good ones.
Hearing the same thing from a lot of competitors. I think it's going to be a really interesting tournament. I am wishing you the best of luck, Pat. Before we go, if people want to follow you, whether it be on Facebook or a website or otherwise, how do they do so?
Facebook's Pat Schlapper Fishing. Go on there, like it. Posting a lot of stuff on there. And then Instagram, it's at Pat Schlapper Fishing. So pretty easy to find. I'm working a lot on growing my social media. I've got a crew down here with me doing stuff. So yeah, I got a lot of cool things happening in my life, and I like to share them with people and hopefully inspire some people to go chase their dreams.
I'll tell you what, I think you just did through this interview, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of all of our listeners tuning in today on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you very much.
Shifting gears and locations from Texas to Alaska. If you listened to our show last week, you know that we spent a great time at Sportsman's Cove Lodge. It's on Prince of Wales Island in southeast Alaska, and my daughter and I caught all sorts of fish. The weather was perfect, saw lots of wildlife. It really is Alaska's Best Lodge. That's why their website is alaskasbestlodge.com. And if you want to go this year, well, you were out of luck. But last week we announced an opening for a just-announced end-of-season special. It's 4 days of fishing at Sportsman's Cove Lodge. The dates are September 9th to the 13th. You'll fly into Ketchikan, take a float plane over to Sportsman's Cove Lodge, enjoy great meals, enjoy the wonderful customer service, enjoy great fishing, and have everything vacuum-packed and frozen for you to take back home. Now, this being the last trip of the season, normally you spend a night in Ketchikan on the way back, but in this case, you will actually spend your last night in the lodge, and the float plane will take you right over by the airport where you can just hop on your plane and head back home. And better still, the September trip, well, this is the time to go to catch big coho salmon, silvers as they're called in Alaska. And if you want to fill the freezer with a bunch of halibut and a bunch of coho salmon, this is the trip for you. You might also hook into the biggest silver of your lifetime if you go on this trip. When we announced this, there was 30 spots open. That's the maximum they could take at the lodge at any time. They're down to just 5 spots open now. Just 5 spots open for this end-of-season trip at Sportsman's Cove Lodge in September. If you're interested, go to alaskasbestlodge.com. That's the website, alaskasbestlodge.com. Give them a call at their toll-free 1-800 number and say you want that end-of-season trip. And if you're fast, you're probably going to get a chance to head to Alaska before the season ends. But if you can't make it in September, this is also the time to book for 2022. And I can tell you, they are already over halfway full for 2022. So you don't want to wait too long to pull the trigger on going to Alaska next year. And when you go, you've got to go to Sportsman's Cove Lodge, folks. Trust me on this. I love this place. You'll love it too. Go to alaskasbestlodge.com to find out more and book now.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a non-profit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.
Ready to step up to a quality-built rifle or shotgun that's a true classic? Check out Henry Repeating Arms, American-made. There's over 200 models to choose from in a variety of finishes and calibers for hunters and target shooters. Many of these are lever-action models with a look right out of the Old West. Don't be deceived, though. Henry Repeating Arms are modern, rugged, accurate, reliable, and have a lifetime guarantee. Find out more and order a free catalog today at henryusa.com. That's henryusa.com.
The Dalles in Oregon is your base camp for fishing fun. Reel in big salmon, tangle with steelhead, bass, and walleye, or wrestle a monster sturgeon to the boat. After the day is done, you'll find a variety of lodging options around town. Need to resupply? We've got you covered with sporting goods stores plus great dining, breweries, wineries, and can't-miss attractions like the Gorge Discovery Center. Plan your fishing getaway today at explorethedalles.com. That's explorethedalles.com.
Hey, how'd the meeting go with Tommy's school counselor today?
Well, not exactly as planned. I think we need help.
Help? Why do we need help?
Well, I asked her about paying for college, and she said that's not something they do.
Maybe it is time to get some help. Even if Tommy just goes to state college, it's going to cost at least $25,000 a year. We'll have to rate our retirement and pay for Tommy's tuition. There's got to be a better way.
There is a better way. A way where you can pay less for college, or even receive college tuition free, regardless of your income or your student's grades. a way for you to keep your hard-earned income and savings for your future and spend less on college, while virtually eliminating the need for student loans. Get the facts about college admissions and tuition by going to tuitionprograms.org. That's tuitionprograms.org. tuitionprograms.org. Get the facts about college admissions and tuition by going to tuitionprograms.org.
Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we are checking in with Dan Clayton Luce. He's a communications director for Henry Repeating Arms, a sponsor of our show. And I have got to tell you, folks, about a new rifle that I'm really excited about. It's the Frontier model lever action 22 caliber. It's got a threaded barrel. It reduces sound when firing. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell our listeners more about this rifle. This sounds great for folks who just don't want to hear the loud report of a rifle when they're shooting.
Yeah, exactly. So we came out with this, and I think it has a number of different practical purposes, from hunting or, plinking at the range or the backyard or anything like that. It's a threaded barrel, so you can attach a suppressor, and you can still remove the magazine tube while the suppressor is attached. So it's a really convenient way to shoot a lever action 22 with a suppressor.
I've actually never heard of this concept before. Is this, exclusive to Henry?
It's not exclusive to us. However, I'm not sure how many other lever action 22s are out there with a threaded barrel. In that instance, we may be the only ones, but somebody might correct me on that as well.
So the threaded barrel, does that in and of itself reduce sound, or do you have to have the suppressor on there to really reduce the sound?
Yeah, you have to have the suppressor on there. So the threaded barrel makes it so that it will accept a suppressor, and the suppressor being the piece of the puzzle there that actually reduces the noise.
Gotcha. Suppressors becoming much more widely accepted across the United States, and I think back in the day, people always associated suppressor with, that's an assassin thing. But there's a lot of reasons to use a suppressor. Why don't you tell our listeners some of them?
Yeah, exactly. No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think a lot of people think of it as, something just for James Bond movies or something like that, but we've seen such a huge demand for them. And, we don't manufacture suppressors, but we get so many people asking us to thread the barrel on just about everything we make. So, if you take this 22, for example, and you're out in the woods and you're small game hunting for rabbit or squirrel or whatever it might be, that reduced noise when you fire, it'll keep the critters around for a little bit longer.
Right.
One shot, if you're in the squirrel woods, everything's going to scatter. But with a suppressor, you can be a little bit more stealthy about it, I guess. Same thing with the backyard. If you have some land and you're plinking in the backyard on some steel plates or something like that, and you have some neighbors kind of close by, they wouldn't hear a thing. And I think in the instance of a 22, that 22 bullet hitting a steel plate is going to be louder than the rifle firing.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Got a question for you. Henry Repeating Arms, you have over 200 different models of rifles and shotguns, a lot of them lever action. What's the most popular rifle sold by Henry Repeating Arms, and why do you think it's so popular?
So our most popular by volume is definitely the classic lever action 22. It's been around the longest. That was the first rifle that we started shipping in March of 1997. But it's a good entry-level 22 where the price point is reasonable. It's still American-made. You still get American walnut stocks, blued steel barrel, and everything like that. So the quality to price is very high on that model, and I think that's why it's so popular. It's also, a 22 lever action rifle is a great rifle for somebody that maybe hasn't owned a rifle before. So I think those are definitely some of the reasons why it's still such a huge player in the market.
All makes sense. One last question here, and this is in reference to the pandemic and all of the issues that folks have had, getting new stuff, whether it be guns or ammo or boats or cars. Let's talk about availability. Henry Repeating Arms, they're made in the USA. How is the supply line doing? Is it really hard to find a Henry Repeating Arms rifle right now?
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're looking for, but I mean, overwhelmingly, the answer to your question is yes. It's more difficult than we would like for it to be, and the same reason that it's hard to find firearms or an ATV or, you know, whatever it is, it's also hard for us to get the wood that we need, the steel that we need, parts from some of our vendors and things like that. So we are now working 3 shifts around the clock, building and shipping as many guns as we possibly can. I know it might not seem like it, but it's just the demand has been building and building and building for the past year and a half, to where everything that we make goes right out the door, and then it's sold in a lot of instances before it even gets on the shelf of a dealer.
Wow.
So, you know, what we're really trying to do now is, if somebody goes on our website, which is henryusa.com, goes to the contact us page and gets in touch with us just saying, hey, I'm looking for a Henry Big Boy 357 Magnum, for example, and I can't find it anywhere. My dealers, you know, they can't find it either. We have a team of people that are dedicated to making that happen, to making sure that we get that rifle to that dealer for this specific person. And I think it's something that really sets us apart right now. We know it's hard for everybody out there that's looking for firearms, and I can assure everyone that we're doing everything possible to try and make it easier.
Well, the website to go to, folks, is henryusa.com. That's henryusa.com. And while you're there, don't forget to ask for your free catalog and decals, too. Absolutely free of charge. And if you have any questions, just call up the award-winning customer service staff there. They will help you out, whether you're looking for a dealer, whether you have questions about some of the rifles that are on sale for either hunting or plinking or anything else. They will help you out. Dan, thanks. As always, great to have you on the air, and I look forward to talking again soon.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Turning to outdoors news, if you're like me, you probably consider South Dakota to be the state to hunt for pheasant. After all, there are a ton of ringnecks there. Hunting access is good, and the fine folks in South Dakota recognize a good thing when they see it and make it a point to welcome and accommodate hunters and their dogs every fall. However, another state you should consider for pheasant hunting is a neighbor to the Mount Rushmore state. That would be Iowa. I mean, think about it. Iowa has lots of corn, and that means there's lots of ringnecks, too. As a matter of fact, the Iowa Department of Natural Resources just reported hunters harvested some 300,000 roosters last year, the second highest harvest reported in more than a decade. Part of the reason was a healthy population of pheasant counted during the annual August roadside survey last year, but another reason for the increased harvest was because there were a whole lot more hunters afield in 2020 than there were in 2019, about 10,000 more as a matter of fact, which is the highest number of pheasant hunters seen in Iowa since 2009. As for where to go in Iowa for pheasant success, the DNR says hunters in northwest, northeast, west central, central, and east central Iowa reported good hunting success with more than 20,000 roosters harvested in each of those regions. Iowa, it's more than just the home to that field of dreams. It's also home to some really good pheasant hunting opportunities. One more thing I'd like to touch on before we go is a reminder about being careful with fire when you're recreating outdoors. If you're camping, please make sure that you drown out that fire that is cold to the touch. Don't leave an unattended campfire. Unattended campfires every year start major forest fires. You don't want to be that guy or gal that does that. Likewise, if you smoke cigars or cigarettes, for the love of God, please don't flick it out your window along the side of the highway. There's a reason a lot of fires start along the sides of roads, and that is one of the big reasons. And last but not least, be careful with your vehicle. If you're off-roading, just having it idling in some dry grass, that catalytic converter, that engine of yours, can actually start a wildfire. So do your part to prevent wildfires this summer and be a good steward of our lands. As we wrap things up, I'd like to thank our guests today, to include Dan Clayton Luce with Henry Repeating Arms, Scott Estes with Denali Fishing Rod out of Mountain Home, Arkansas, Pat Schlapper, that Wisconsin angler who made a career change from retail sporting goods to professional tournament fishing, a decision that really paid off with an appearance in the Bassmaster Classic this year. And, of course, Dwayne Walley with Tourney X, who shared that wonderful story about JT Borofka. And if you haven't already, I would steer you to the website set up to help this 2-year-old boy who's really struggling with a severe medical issue. The website, savejt.com, and go to the Tourney X website too at tourneyx.com, where that online fishing tournament is going on to benefit JT too. We are in the dog days of summer, but getting out in the morning or the evening for some fishing, or maybe heading out to the range and getting ready for hunting season. Yes, it's time for that already. And just hitting the trail, hitting the woods, getting into the mountains, going to the beach. It's a great time to do it. Summertime always is. So until next time, here's hope you're blessed. And do remember this, it is your country and you're outdoors. So get out there and enjoy it.